What is up? Happy Monday. Kevin Yates Live, back at it again, coming at you from the new and improved Kevin Yates Live. It's in San Mateo, California, far away from Lathrop, where we used to be. And I'm telling you, this weather is like so much better. I'm so glad I'm like out of 90 plus degree heat and summers with 90s and 100s and all that stuff. Like, I love summer and everything, but man, I'm so like glad just to be out in a cooler climate. Today's topic is basically why the struggle is not real and how to end it. This is just, it's kind of off the cuff today. I've been seeing so many people posting this stuff all over the place. I hear people talk about it all the time, how the struggle is real. Oh my God, the struggle is real. And I just, every time I see that, it's like, I just want to say something. And for me, I'm not trying to stand on the mountaintop, but I just want to kind of shake people and wake them up sometimes and tell them bullshit. There's nothing real about this struggle here, but you have to understand like what's really going on and how this all plays out. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter video today, or a shorter broadcast today. So I'm going to just talk about that. I'm going to share, why the struggle that seems so real. And it's not that we don't have our challenges and our, trying times in life. We all have them, and I'm no different. But, the struggle that seems like it's so real really isn't. And I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to also talk about how to put an end to it. So, you know me by now, if you've been watching this show, that I don't do, airy-fairy stuff. This show is 100% airy-fairy pixel dust free. So that's what I'm going to give you today. And so that's what the show is going to be about. I'll tell you real quick, man, talk about struggles and all this struggle being real and everything. Today, this was nuts. It actually happened like 8:45 p.m. last night. My wife and daughter were gone all weekend, right? They went out to Manteca, right? My wife had some clients. She does hairstyling, and she was working with her clients on this last weekend. So they're away from home. I'm home alone, and they come home yesterday. And last night, my daughter goes to take a shower. So they came home, like 6:30, 6:15, somewhere around there. And so, my daughter goes to take a shower, and she's like calling me, Dad. And I'm like, what's going on? And she goes, the water won't go down the drain. And like, I look down in the shower, and it's almost like the floor, right? We've got, probably, about, I don't know, this high or something. The ground in there, like the tub area or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, so that it's filling up and it's getting close to the top, the water, and it won't go down the drain. And so that happened. And then not only that, but like the toilets all of a sudden wouldn't flush. And so it was just like a nightmare. We couldn't plunge them. It wouldn't work. Like the toilets are filling up with water. And then the other bathtub in the other room, I don't even want to say what was coming out of that, but it was freaking nasty stuff. And I mean, you want to talk about a struggle and all this crap. No pun intended. That's what it looked like was coming out the tub. Okay. So I have to call a plumber. And so, the plumber gave me an option. They're either going to come out at 1 o'clock in the morning, which I was like, hell no. I'm not going to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning, wait for a plumber. I'll just hold it all night if I have to. So they said the other time they come out was this morning. So they come out this morning, and the guy is the place that we're staying, right? This house was built like in 1966 or something like that. Old house, right? And so the way that the pipes are, like if you go down into the basement, the pipes don't go like down underground from there. They go all across like the ceiling area down in the basement, and then they go all the way across the other side of the house. Then they go down underground in the sewer. So basically, this house has like not been lived in for about a year. We're the first people to live in this house in about a year. So, the plumber was saying that, everything kind of settles in the pipes. And then when you start to run water again, it all kind of swells up. Everything's backed up. And then, that's what starts to happen. So he has to go into these pipes, right? Undo these pipes. And, well, long story short, a bunch of nasty stuff came out all over the garage, right? All over the floor in the garage. I mean, it was a mess down in there. And so, he's here for, I don't know, about 3.5 hours or so. Finally gets the pipes and everything cleaned out. Everything's working fine there, but now we got a mess on the floor. And, when you got that kind of stuff, that's disgusting, right? So we had to get like the, water damage control and to come in, and they had to clean the whole garage out and basically, disinfect and clean like everything all over the floor, right? And I mean, this was just a nightmare, right? So that was last night and this morning. That has been my day so far. So anyway, I could look at this though many different ways, right? I have an option. This wasn't like a thing that was like good news for me. I wasn't happy about it. My wife and daughter definitely weren't happy about it. I was pissed off because it was ruining my workout time. I really wanted to go, do my workout, and I had things to do today, and I run my days like kind of on a schedule. Like I'm not really super rigid, but I know like what I want to do and when I want to do it. And when things get in the way and happen, that tends to get under my skin. However, there was another way that I just looked at it. And again, this wasn't like, anything to do with me trying to think positive and, have my head in the clouds and everything's wonderful and all that. It's something that I've worked on. I've talked about this a lot before, my awareness, being very self-aware of my language that goes on in my head, how I talk to myself, how I talk about myself, how I talk in general, how I talk about my situation, my circumstances, my experiences that I'm going through. And I've really learned to observe my language. I learned to observe my thoughts. I learned to observe my self-image, right? The images that I conjure up, because, before, like I would just go from 0 to pissed off in a second. And my whole day would have been ruined over something like this. Like really would have. I'd have been pissed off all day, and that would have just set me off completely. And, it's to the point now where it was an inconvenience. It got under my skin. I had a period of time where I was a bit pissed off about it, but it came and went like that. Because once I start to notice, what I'm thinking, the images I'm conjuring up, how I'm looking at things, I don't have to try to stop anything. It does it on its own, because I've said this before, when you have awareness, then you have choice. But if you're not aware of what's going on in your head and what you're seeing and all this kind of internal stuff and dialogue and all that stuff, you have no choice. You're going to go, from wherever you are to where you're going to be and run that recipe, right out the gate. And it's a typical, but this is what happens with a lot of the struggles that we go through, right? We talk about how the struggle is real. And I'm going to tell you something. And, this is, where is it? Today's, let me get it. Wait for it. I'm getting it. I'm finding it. Oh, where is it? Yes, I have it right here. This is today's truth bomb, all right? Truth bomb of the day today. The struggle is a story. It is not reality. It's a story. It's not reality. And what I mean by that is I'm not dismissing like challenges that we have. I'm not even going to stand here and tell you my life is perfect and I'm just, better than ever and nothing ever goes wrong in my life and, I love life and everything is just, peachy, right? It's a bunch of bullshit. We all have our challenges, all of us do, myself included. So I'm not at all diminishing anybody who's watching right now dealing with some struggles. You might be dealing with some serious shit, right? We all have struggles. We have struggles with, confidence. We have struggles with paying bills for the month sometimes. We have struggles with our careers, our jobs. We have struggles with self-esteem. We have struggles with self-worth. We have struggles with self-doubt, self-judgment, self-criticism. The selves, I talked about that before. We can struggle with our weight, right? And all kinds of different struggles that we have. And I'm not dismissing that at all. But here's the difference. When you tell yourself how the struggle is real. Just listen to those words. The struggle is real. And when you tell yourself that enough times over and over, that dialogue starts going. You start to conjure up images, right? So whatever you're struggling with at the time, I'm sure when that's going through your head, and it might be something different. You might not even say the struggle is real, but you might be talking about how nothing goes right in your life, or I can never have what I want, or I have the worst possible luck, and very disempowering statements that are very powerful, because when we run that dialogue, that story over and over, we start to conjure up the images, right? And I've talked about this before, the self-concept, the self-dialogue or self-talk, and self-image. And that creates this whole idea of who we are, how we fit into this world, what our experience of life is like. And when we keep telling ourselves things like the struggle is real, it's exactly what we will keep getting. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the command that you're giving. And this isn't like law of attraction. This isn't like airy-fairy pie-in-the-sky bullshit thinking. This is very real from a brain science perspective. This is how our brains are actually wired, that whatever we give attention to, meaning that what we place our focus on repeatedly over and over again, combined with that which we give intention to, meaning we give it meaning, we give it purpose, we give it like emotional connection, feeling in there, intent, and that which we give repetition to means we run it over and over and over through our minds. When we give those three things, that's what our brain is wired to seek, because there's a part of our brain called the basal ganglia, and that is basically the part of our brain that creates habit. And it will create a habit out of anything that you give attention to, you give intention to, and you give a lot of repetition to over and over. So those statements, those disempowering statements about how the struggle is real, how I have bad luck, how I'll never have what I want, or I'm not good enough to succeed, I'm not worthy of this goal.